Take you here now. The Department of Public Enterprises has issued a statement saying it will no longer be participating in the Leadership Consultative Forum. The department says the forum is failing to protect workers' interests. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa and the South African Cabin Crew Association say they're not surprised by the decision of the department to collapse the Leadership Consultative Forum, and that under the leadership of Minister Pravin Gordhan, the department has been manipulative and dishonest in its engagement. NUMSA spokesperson Phakamile Majola joins us now to discuss. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us, Phakamile. What were some of the reasons that were given to you, if any, for this?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Well, I mean, you know, the part of the reasons that the DPE gave was that they say that NUMSA and SACA have sided with A-Link on the issue of requesting for the vote on the business rescue plan to be deferred to another date, namely the 14th of July. As NUMSA and SACA, we reject this with contempt, the contempt it deserves. We think that the minister is not being reasonable, neither is he being fair. He knows very well that NUMSA and SACA are not working with A-Link, and anybody who would suggest that is frankly being absurd in the extreme. We went to court to oppose A-Link's attempt to liquidate the airline. So that should show you how far we're willing to go in order to prevent the liquidation of the airline. In fact, the reason we requested an adjournment, we were one of those during the business rescue vote, the day when they were supposed to vote on the plan. NUMSA, SACA, and the Pilots Association put a proposal on the table that instead of voting on the plan, rather we try and work together to amend the plan, because there were some serious problems with the business rescue plan. And this was not a problem that was only picked up by us. 69% of the creditors said the same thing. So really, we just think that the department is being unfair. They must take responsibility for their actions and work with us to try and fix this plan so that we can actually have a plan that we can vote on.
Would that then be reasonable and fair to you?
Could you repeat your question?
Would that then be reasonable and fair? You noted earlier that they're being unreasonable and they're not being fair. Would that then be reasonable and fair for them to further engage with you?
Well, yes, because, I mean, I think we've been very clear about what are some of the issues around the plan. This is not a plan that anyone can say with confidence is a proper business rescue plan. And the creditors proved this when they refused to endorse it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. It lacks detail, it lacks information. As it stands, it's a plan that can be litigated against. It does not comply with the Companies Act because creditors, in particular NUMSA, Labour was not properly consulted in the formation of the plan. And there are real problems with the viability of SAA with this plan. You just spoke about, before you came to me in your interview, you were talking about how other airlines have resumed flying. Unfortunately, with this plan, SAA will only fly next year. So by the time SAA takes off, its market share will have been taken over by global airlines. It will be complete. It will start off completely on the back foot, and it will be highly unlikely that it will recover. All we are calling for is for the minister to demonstrate what they claim they believe in. They say they want a viable airline. They say they want a new airline with no legacy issues. Then listen to what Labour has to say, take us seriously on the inputs that we've made, and you will get exactly what you're asking for. They must just be genuine in the manner in which they engage with us.
In the statement, you mentioned collectively as unions, and I quote, "To be blunt, what Minister Gordhan and the current business rescue practitioners will leave the country with is what can only be defined as Cape Town Airways." What does that mean?
Well, if you look at the plan, it basically has abandoned a lot of routes that SAA should be flying. There are routes, for example, in the Eastern Cape that SAA will not be taking advantage of. Other airlines will take advantage of those routes. also the decision to reduce the staff so drastically to only 1,000 staff members without making any kind of concessions around a social plan to ensure that workers and their families are cushioned, whether it's for the ramp up or between this transition process, and also the fact that they have not taken these and other suggestions that we've put on the table about how to make this airline more viable. The most glaring of which being their refusal to implement the proposal that all onerous contracts, which were a problem which caused SAA to collapse in the first place. Some of these contracts, as you know, were exposed in forensic reports for being either corrupt or an example of mismanagement. They don't want to deal with those contracts, but they claim they're talking about a new airline. How can this be a new airline if it's going to be saddled with the same problems that caused SAA to collapse in the first place?
Pagamile Shubi Majola is the spokesperson for NUMSA. Thank you very much for your time.